In our last episode, we helped Cassie Dalton, the lone remaining heir to the Dalton family name, seek revenge upon the island for the deaths of her family members. But there are more people in the town of Far Harbor that need our help. Captain Avery had mentioned that there were some dregs living on the docks in need of assistance. To find the dregs, we walk around the last plank and head to the docks in the very back. Here we find a number of harbor men and women wandering around and sleeping rough in sleeping bags on the dock. Soon we get approached by a girl named Small Bertha. When I walked by here earlier, I overheard a conversation between Small Bertha and a harbor man.
Hey, mister. Those aren't your boots.
They're on my feet. Beat it.
My brother's been through enough. Those boots aren't yours.
Tony's got no right to be here no more. You can't take care of yourself. Better you take the long walk.
I'm giving you one warning. Tony gets his boots back.
Your mom's not around no more, Smalls. I'm not afraid of you.
You might be thinking I'm just a stupid girl, thinking you can take me. But everyone's got to sleep. Make things right quick. Or else.
Shit.
Goodness! Small Bertha pulls out a shiv to threaten a harborman. Well, he deserves it. He tried to steal some boots belonging to Bertha's brother. What a jerk! We can see what Small Bertha wants from us.
Ma'am, I have to talk to you. I got 14 and a half caps. I want to hire you.
A whole 14 caps, huh? And a half. I'm already planning my retirement.
I know it's nothing, but it's all I got.
I have real problems to deal with, kid.
This ain't about some cat in a tree. A lot of us are starving at the end of the dock. We got no hope. They're all either too proud, too sick, or too poor to ask for something. So it's up to me.
My plate's full. You're on your own.
Please, we need you.
I may be able to help, but I don't want your caps.
They're right about you, they say. But if you help, you'll get paid.
All right. What's the job?
Harbormen don't belong on this dock. If we keep clinging here, we'll bleed out and die. To get better, to grow stronger, we need land. Echo Lake Lumber Mill has power lines that connect to the old wind farm. If you clear the land, harbormen can wire up the condensers. Make it safe from the fog.
That's a surprisingly grown-up request.
The fog's out to kill us all. Kids included.
How do you know all this?
My father was a mechanic. A good one. Before the fog took him.
So they send their 12-year-old kid sister to negotiate this deal? You better not be pulling my leg.
They've given up. All ready to walk off that pier and put an end to it. I'm not.
You know, you're quite a remarkable girl.
If you say so. I just don't want this pier to kill what's left of my kin. I know the money's a joke. But if my friends can resettle, I'm sure they'd do anything for you. And owe you big. Please. Help.
With that, we begin the quest, Turn Back the Fog, secure Echo Lake Lumber Mill. And wow, despite some of these harbormen trying to steal boots from her kid brother, only Small Bertha has the tenacity to ask for help to get the dregs out of this horrible situation. We find her in a small corner lying down sleeping next to her brother. And on her sleeping bag we find a note. Last letter from Mom. Mark, Far Harbor's covered in fog too. Only docks are clean. Mariner almost kicked everyone out, but Avery stepped in. Aunt Candace left for the mainlands. Her home's completely behind the fog. All the news is bad. I'm traveling to one of the Daltons and see if they need farmhands. I should be back in 2 weeks. Give my love to the kids. Keep them out of the fog. Love, Peggy. The last letter these children ever received from their mom was actually to their dad, Mark. Peggy walked off into the fog to get some work, but she never came back. Considering what we know happened at Dalton Farm, it's likely she either never made it or was killed by a fog crawler. And then, not long after, their father, Mark, a mechanic, also died. Bertha said the fog took him. Perhaps he went off into the fog to try and find his wife Peggy, only to suffer the same fate. We find Small Bertha's kid brother lying here asleep, surrounded by all of his toys, but he doesn't say much. So the Dregs need a place to live. This dock just isn't cutting it, and they want to settle at the Echo Lake Lumber Mill. We find the Echo Lake Lumber Mill on the opposite side of the island, a bit south of Eagles Cove Tannery. The trip was uneventful. We arrive from the northeast. We find a ruined house next to a dock, but the door is boarded up. We can't get inside. Around it are a bunch of shipping containers, and just west of this is a bit of a shop? We find a number of shacks here that appear to have been, at one time, rudimentary shops. This is the remains of a gun shop. Here we find a novice-locked display case, and inside a whole bunch of ammunition. Boxes of 5.56, 50 caliber, 45, 38, 44, and 10 millimeter. Next to this was a food shack. They were serving up some lobster rolls. There's nothing much inside this one. Next to this was a waffle stand. Inside, we find a cooking station where we can grill up all of the wonderful meat we've collected. Next to this was a coffee shop. We find one of those beautiful espresso machines and coffee tins covering the counter. This cash register is locked with a novice lock, and inside we find some goodies. Outside and next to the shop, we find a Vim machine. Here I found some Vim, including a Vim Captain's Blend. But due to a bit of a glitch, it was kind of stuck in the machine. I eventually wiggled myself around to be able to loot it. Across from these shacks were some carnival games. This was a toss challenge. And moving around behind the shack to explore it, we discover the Echo Lake Lumber Mill. The door to the Toss Challenge shack is locked with a novice lock. After picking it inside, we see bottles and baseballs, and another novice-locked cash register with more goodies inside. We can then move to the final shack, another food stall, but there's nothing here. Moving west, we see two buildings off to the left. We'll explore them in a bit. And to the right, we find a big sign, Lumberjack Festival Today. Looks like this is the main entrance. Heading under the sign, we can try to take a look at it. The sun is in the wrong spot, but shining my light up there, Echo Lake Lumber Mill. Lumberjack Festival Today. Okay, so this explains all of the food shacks and carnival games. There was a festival going on when the bombs dropped. To the right of the entrance is another little shack that's completely boarded up. We don't have access to it, and so we can move on to the primary building. Heading through the front door, we find the remains of a shop, 2 cash registers, and a number of shelves, and a ghoul. Well, that caught their attention, but we haven't completed this step in the quest yet, so there must be more. Before going upstairs, we can finish exploring this ground level. There are 2 levels to this shop. Going downstairs, we find more shelves. We can walk away with a bunch of scrap and goodies. The cash registers have ammunition and money inside. Behind the registers is a back door. We see another ruin back here. Wow, this is a huge spot. And next to the register is a wrecked bathroom with nothing of interest inside. Nearby, we find the employees' lockers, where we can make good use of the Scrounger perk, and when ready, we can head upstairs. This is a multi-leveled building. We're not even at the top yet. After looting a couple of containers, we find an advanced locked door. After picking it, we find an office. There are a couple of desks, a terminal, and a small kitchen, but we hear shambling above us, so taking the nearby staircase, we can move to the attic to find...
Playing with the wrong...
a glowing one. Up!
That's one way to get the coolant pumping.
But we still haven't cleared it yet. Huh. Here we find an end-of-dungeon steamer truck. And in the truck, we find a unique weapon, the Harvester. Chance to stagger on hit. The Harvester is a unique ripper with the staggering legendary effect. This is an incredible combination. As a ripper, the Harvester attacks incredibly fast. It only does a base damage of 9, but with a very fast attack speed, this gives us the opportunity to trigger the legendary effect multiple times against one enemy. With this weapon, we can lock certain enemies into a persistent state of stagger. We can upgrade the Harvester with the Blacksmith perk, and it has all the same mods as a regular Ripper, and we can increase our damage with the Sucker with the Big Leagues perk. For melee characters using fast weapons, this is pretty much an essential one. It's practically overpowered. Turning around, we find a duffel bag on the ground. Heading downstairs, we can loot a cooler in the kitchen, and then we hear the sound of a ghoul? Where's that coming from? What? Behind us? I have no idea where that guy was hiding. You saw me, I just came from upstairs. Where was he? Oh, well, we got him, but we still haven't cleared Echo Lake Lumber Mill. The building, however, appears to be clear. We can explore it. On a desk in the office, we find a still functional terminal. Popping out of our power armor, we can access it to find a holotape. Ejecting it and playing it on our Pip-Boy.
Jimmy, if you don't keep that little twerp Bentley out of my face, I swears to God I'm gonna throw this fucking terminal through the wall. He saw me coming across the log rolling course before work and starts asking why I was out there at 5 in the morning. If you want to keep those extra profits rolling in, you better keep him in line.
Whoa, some pre-war drama perhaps? We see that Levi wasn't bluffing. If we examine the exterior of this office wall, we see a terminal hanging out by a cord. Looks like Levi really did throw the terminal through the wall. Levi and Jimmy had some sort of business on the side, and their coworker Bentley was becoming suspicious. He saw them coming across the log rolling course. Whatever could that mean? We'll have to keep our eyes peeled. There was a first aid kit on a wall that we looted here, and heading downstairs, we can move out to explore the rest of the mill. Nearby, we find an arena. There's a cash register here just outside and a bottle of Vim. So this is where people came to sit and watch the festivities going on at this lumberjack festival. Oh, looks like one of the spectators is still here. There we go, and with that, we finally complete our quest objective. But turning around, hey, what's that? Is that the log rolling course? These logs are still floating in place after all of this time? Let's see if we can do this. In power armor. Carefully, carefully. Almost there, and... success. Now, what were they doing over here? We don't see any ruins, no shacks, no signs of foul play, until we reach a fallen tree. On the ground near to these trees, we find a hatch leading to a bunker. We arrive in a soggy but well-lit earthen bunker. At the very end of this path is a concrete room. But before we can explore it,
You got him.
someone approaches us from behind. Malcolm.
You got him. You got them shamblers. All dead. Fog's quiet. The land's mine again. For what you done, you can leave. Leave before I need to go a-hunting and kill.
Who are you?
My name? It's Malcolm. Malcolm. I own this land. Fog came and I didn't leave. Started breathing it in deep. Made peace with it.
I was sent to claim the lumber mill for Far Harbor.
This is my land. Keep the outsiders away.
I'll go then.
You leave me be. My land.
Some people in Far Harbor would like to settle here. Maybe you could share?
Shea. This is my land. Keep the outsiders away. Or, let them come. Send them to me. Send all of them to me. And then I'll hunt them, salvage their gear, cut the meat, then toss the remains for the fog. What do you say? Got caps. Make it worth your while.
You're gonna eat them?
Belly gets awful empty in the fog. To me, their meat, your meat, all of us are.
Or if we have the cannibal perk, he says,
You're gonna eat them?
I can tell you got a hungering for talking meat too. But they are my meal. You stay clear.
here we can make a decision that changes the outcome of this quest. If we agree to his plan,
You give me the caps, and I'll send them over.
Good meat. Smart meat. You can leave. Send everyone over.
He walks off, gives us 615 caps, and waits for us to send the dregs of Far Harbor here so he can eat them. If we head back to Far Harbor, we can check in with small Bertha.
Bertha?
Is the lumber mill safe now? People are getting anxious. A little unstable.
It's not ready yet.
Please, hurry.
Here we have a couple of choices. We can lie and say that the lumber mill is clear.
The lumber mill's ready for you.
We gotta go see the captain.
Or we can try to find out if small Bertha knew about Malcolm.
Who owns the lumber mill?
No one anymore. There was a family there. They didn't make it. Why? Did you find anyone there?
There's one survivor at the lumber mill. He's a trapper.
One trapper. I think we can handle that.
Malcolm says he owns the lumber mill, not you. Was he lying?
We thought he was dead. Been that long in the fog. Maybe it's better if he did die. We have people here that need a real home. People that think straight. People worth saving.
That's his home. He has a right to it.
So you're just leaving us to rot on the dock? For one lousy trapper? Sleep with one eye open.
With that, we complete the quest. We get the experience, but that's the only reward we get. If we choose this option, small Bertha and the dregs stay here, and she's not too pleased.
Leave me alone.
Or we can warn Bertha about Malcolm so that she and the dregs are prepared.
Maybe your friends can chase Malcolm off.
If he lets us. I promise we'll try. But we gotta see the captain first.
Malcolm's dangerous. Aim to kill before he hurts anyone else.
We will. But first, time to see the captain.
If we choose any of these options, she runs off to talk to the captain. But there is another way to get to this point. Back in the bunker, we can try to take a neutral position.
I'll let you keep your land, but I won't send anyone here to be ambushed.
Leave. Don't come back. Leave!
In which case Malcolm walks off peacefully, and he disappears. We never see him again. Or we can tell him exactly what we think of murder.
I won't be party to murder.
Well, I got no use for you.
Good.
He attacks, forcing us to kill him. This bunker must be what Levi and Jimmy were using to make a side income. They were producing chems. We find a skeleton on the ground. Perhaps this is either Levi or Jimmy. Under the bed, we find a duffel bag filled with ammunition and caps. We find a kitchen scale on a desk with some daddy-o, and next to it, another piece of daddy-o. Wow, so it wasn't just a general chems operation. Looks like they were producing daddy-o exclusively. Nearby, we find a master-locked box safe with a bunch of caps and ammunition inside. Next to this, we find a chem cooler with Jet and Psycho. Okay, maybe they had an expanded operation. Next to an ammo box with more ammunition. Then we find a bunch of bags of fertilizer, which makes sense once we know the ingredients for Jet. And of course, next to this, a chemistry station, next to a chemical shower and a first aid kit with buff out inside. Interestingly, on the wall above the chemistry station, we find a bunch of blood spatter, which leads me to believe that this skeleton is not that of either Levi or Jimmy, but rather the skeleton of Bentley. Perhaps Bentley finally discovered what Levi and Jimmy were doing here, but was caught in the act and had to pay the price for his knowledge. They executed him here and left his body to rot. If we end up killing Malcolm, we get a completely different conversation with small Bertha.
I cleared the lumber mill for you.
We gotta go see the captain. Here's your pet. People keep leaving the island. But now that there's land to call their own, they'll come back. My friends have already sent word. We're going to turn back the tide. You'll see.
All of these options lead to a conversation with the captain. Small Bertha leads us into Doc Teddy's shop, where we find Avery and Teddy having a chat.
Bertha?
Excuse me, ma'am?
Smalls, we got no time for you.
The mainlander cleared out Echo Lake Lumber Mill.
Yeah. For all of 14 caps.
Hey, you agreed to it.
Why are we even talking to the captain about this?
She's got things we need.
The mill's safe. For now, at least.
So we gotta act fast.
Whatever you're talking about isn't as important as what Bertha's got to say.
We gotta get off the docks, Captain. If you give us some of those Acadian fog condensers, my friends are ready to homestead the lumber mill.
Surviving is about more than taming fog. We gotta stay together, Bertha.
But we're no good here. Harbormen need their own land, something to protect and hold.
I was wrong about you.
What?
Not you. You. Bertha knows this island better than you, Avery. We give folks some condensers, materials, and a chance to build defenses. And we'll survive all right. And thrive.
Could this really work?
I don't see why not. And even if it doesn't, instead of starving on a pier, they die on their own land.
For the price of a few condensers, you give people real hope. Sounds like a good deal to me.
And even if they don't make it, they go out with their heads held high.
Anyone wanting to settle this island's crazy. It'll kill you.
It's been trying all my life. Hasn't done it yet.
I can lend a hand too.
You would? Well, then their odds are sure to be better. Give them the fog condensers, Avery.
Well, I won't stop you, but until we deal with the children of Adam, settling the island again, it could blow up in your face. Come, Bertha.
You might want to check up on Echo Lake. Bertha's friends would no doubt welcome you. And take this. You never cease to amaze.
With that, we get a notification that we can now use the workshop at Echo Lake Lumber Mill. We complete the quest Turn Back the Fog, and Avery and Bertha run back to the captain's gift shop to make plans for the future of Echo Lake Lumber Mill. However, the story that takes place at Echo Lake Lumber Mill is different depending on the choices we made. If we agreed to send the dregs to Malcolm so that Malcolm could eat them, and we simply told Bertha that the lumber mill was clear, when we complete the quest, we don't get a notification that we can use the workshop. Upon traveling to Echo Lake Lumber Mill, we see that nothing has changed. There are no settlers here, no people from Far Harbor. We don't ever see Malcolm again, but the place never gets settled. And if we try to access the workshop, we find that we still can't turn this place into a settlement. Heading back to Far Harbor, we find small Bertha and Tony missing. Many of the other harbormen and women are still here, but Bertha and Tony are gone. The implications are clear. Bertha and Tony, with possibly a few more settlers, went to Echo Lake Lumber Mill after we told them it was clear, and when they arrived, they were killed by Malcolm and eaten. This choice has great ramifications for events that will happen later in the game, ramifications which we'll cover at that time. If, however, we made any other decision, we killed Malcolm, or we chose the neutral option, sending him on his way, or we said we'd send the people, but we warned Bertha about Malcolm, then we do unlock Echo Lake Lumber Mill as a settlement. When we next arrive, we find that Avery has installed the fog condensers, and the place is inhabited by 3 settlers. We can now build up Echo Lake Lumber Mill into a beautiful settlement, and it is one of the largest, if not the largest, exterior settlement we have access to in the game. It's a wonderful little canvas for people who enjoy settlement building. I spent a great deal of time building up my Echo Lake Lumber Mill into a bustling little town. If interested, you can watch a video of my settlement by clicking here. Oddly enough, after choosing this good option, we still find Bertha and Tony at Far Harbor. They apparently don't move into Echo Lake Lumber Mill and instead stay here. That's because, like the Mariner, small Bertha has one more role to play later on towards the end of the main quest.
I won't ever forget you.
With that, we have almost explored the entire town of Far Harbor and helped almost everyone. There is only one place left to explore: the last plank. In our next episode, we'll head into the last plank to find out what's waiting for us. I publish many Fallout videos each and every week on my channel, so if you don't want to miss that episode, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. If you have and you still feel like you're missing out on YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every new piece of content that I publish. I've got a brand new shirt in the shop. Things live in the fog. Celebrate the survivors of the fog with this brand new design that comes on shirts in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes and in a wide array of colors. You can find this design on other products as well, like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, mugs, stickers, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. Patreon patrons and YouTube members are becoming ever more important as the future of YouTube monetization becomes uncertain. So many thanks to all my members and patron supporters from the bottom of my heart. You make these videos possible. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with more brand new videos.